Hey guys, and welcome back yet again to the WT Farm Girls channel. If you remember in our last two videos, I went to work trying to assemble a ginormous windmill to help aerate our pond. If you're familiar with the issues we faced over the last springtime and into summer, it was a disaster. It was just absolutely awful, and we thought there was no way that we could salvage our pond. But one of the key things that we need to include to save our pond is air into the water. So by installing a windmill into the pond, it aerates the water and allows life to die and life to thrive. The life that we want to kill off is the extra organic matter, but we want fish and wildlife to be able to thrive and have enough oxygen. So the aeration of the windmill will help provide that. So today, we are going to get the head installed on the top of the tower and lift it up. But this behemoth of a windmill, will I actually be able to lift it up by myself, or will I have to have Eric help me? And even then, can we manage to stand it up without dropping it? Now that is the question. Let's go take a look.
All right, so don't laugh at me, but this was a lot heavier than I expected it to be. And this is how we're gonna transport it. I said don't laugh. Yeah, I can put it in the tractor, but honestly, it's a very sensitive piece of equipment. I don't want to just throw it in a metal bucket of a tractor. I mean, I could grab a bunch of blankets and set it in the bucket, but I can put it in my sled too. That works, as long as I can pull it. And at this point, I'm wishing I had some snow. So it was recommended to grease the shaft, but unfortunately the cuff scraped all the grease off, and then sticking it in there, all the grease came off too. So now all the grease is stuck up around here. So I will have to go through and grease this. This is how grease works, but you know, it's recommended to grease the shaft first, and it just didn't work. So unfortunately all that grease got wasted, and it's just a big mess. But it's up there. I have my hands on freezing. But this is the way it goes sometimes. You just gotta finish up your projects in the least ideal conditions. And obviously connect the tubing to that before. Yeah, they want you to do the whole assembly in one spot, but it's just not practical for us out here. So anyway, this is what we have. And then we have it up on the sawhorses. And then I've got some giant nails that I'm going to hammer in down here on the bottom to hold the bottom in place and keep it from sliding. But I'm going to have to go inside and get some new gloves because mine are wet and full of grease. All right, well, I had planned to get this done yesterday, but an impromptu windstorm popped up, and not the best time to be putting a windmill up with spinning armatures. So today is a lot calmer, although we are now having the snowstorm. The very first big one, supposedly. We'll see what happens. The temperatures are a lot colder today, as you can tell, but not too bad, so we can probably still get it done. Didi is wearing her jacket, but only because she's probably gonna be out here for a while with me. But the cold isn't phasing her. Frenchtons are pretty tough. If she were just running around with the other dogs, she'd be fine, but if she's out here working with me, I give her a little work jacket. Yes, you don't mind it. Makes you feel official, huh? You get your official work jacket. All right, so the other downside is the pond already froze over, which meant that I had to carefully shimmy out on 1/2 inch of ice and bust a hole open for our bucket. So this thing's gonna run an air compressor, and it has a couple different hose lines that are then going to connect into this, which is a giant aeration stone.
a giant-sized version of what you put into your fish tank. Yes, this is a bubbler, so it's gonna bubble up your pond. Now, there are a couple modifications we are requested to make to this bucket here. The first one is we should put holes in either side. They have string right here so you can pull the bucket up if you need to service the stone. They don't want you to attach it to this because these have a tendency to rust and break off. I'm not sure how long it takes to rust, but the reason they have you set it in a bucket is because it is aerating, and if you just stick it right on the bottom of your pond, it's gonna flush a whole bunch of stuff up into your water, which is gonna make it cloudy. And the whole idea of this system is to not have cloudy water. So they recommend filling it with gravel. We don't really have any gravel, we have pea gravel. So let's go get some pea gravel and maybe a couple other big rocks to help sink it. You're gonna laugh when you see me try to get it into the water, but I think we can do it. I also managed to fix the horse fencing because they had ripped it all down when we turned the power off to the fence line. So normally I think you're supposed to bury the air line underground so that things don't catch it, like horse feet or cow feet. But the ground's already pretty frozen, especially out there. So burying the line would be a little bit of work. So I think we're just gonna try to keep the horses off that area until the ground thaws back out and I can dig the air line down. Oh my gosh. Literally, there's already so much snow. I walked over my gravel and couldn't even find it. So this is my gravel. Don't laugh, this is all I have. This is left over from the horse fence area. And you can see it's got some organic matter in it, but that's okay because the pond right now is not clean anyway. So it'll flush all this crap out of here and we'll be left with good clean gravel. But there, I think that'll be okay. It actually feels pretty heavy. So we got some gravel in here, and that's just to help break up the air bubbles too as they come out. I don't know, I feel like maybe 1-inch gravel might be a better way to go than tiny chip pea gravel, but that's what we have, so we'll put it to use. Maybe we can grab a couple larger rocks too to set in there. But I feel like this has enough weight to sink, especially with that air stone. All right, so this is maybe a good 3 pounds. So I add that in there just like so. And yeah, you got a good maybe 6 pounds right there. So this should be able to sink just fine. So the other thing that you're gonna do is they give you Mr. Quacker here. Mr. Quacker is going to go on the top and he's gonna tie to the line somewhere so that you can paddle out in a little boat to fish it back up if need be. Obviously, we're not going to do that in the middle of winter, but we can still put Mr. Duck out there, and when the pond thaws a little bit more, again, and it will, Mr. Duck will just go down with it. So this is our weighted tubing. One of the things I was confused about is the tubing is exactly the same size, and you can't really tell which is supposed to go to where. But the rubberized tubing is the weighted tubing. This is for the water. The other stiffer, plasticky feeling tubing is the stuff that's supposed to attach to the windmill. I'm not sure why, but that's how it's done. So we have lots of this. So we are actually going to lube up the end of this. All of these barbed fittings, these are supposed to have lube on them, and then you slide that down in. Now to connect this to the other line, they do give you a connector. And with the connector, that is the only one that is supposed to get a hose clamp on it, on either side. So you're gonna get a hose clamp on this side and one on the other tubing side. And I think you're still gonna have a little bit of lube to keep both of those on, but that's the only time you're gonna use any hose clamps. So to repeat that many times over, remember that. So this does not get a hose clamp, this just gets some lube. Really, there's not a whole lot left to do. I'm just trying to psych myself up to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, because that's the biggest thing, is not forgetting the key steps. So that dome has to go on the top of that, but that has to go on the air compressor first. Once it's on the air compressor, we have to go through and tighten all those bolts. Before we bring that down there though, we have to take all those bolts out and make sure we have all the washers on. We also want to bring our torque wrench with us. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, if they want it torqued to 89 pounds of pressure, I don't know how that's gonna work, because normally, you know, we're doing that on hay equipment, which is really solid steel. Not thin aluminum steel. I don't know if it's aluminum or thin gauge steel, I don't know. Either way, it's pretty thin, and I am not sure how 89 pounds of pressure is gonna be able to be applied without bending something. I guess we'll find out. All right, so we went in for some lunch, some hot soup, and a change of drier clothes. Yes, this is a Carhartt jacket. At the beginning of our farm, I used to buy Carhartt, but it only lasted a year. So I stopped buying Carhartt and I switched to Burn. And my Burn jacket, as you can see, looked awful, but it took 8 years to get that bad. So I definitely prefer Burn over Carhartt for that reason. And honestly, Carhartt's not made in America anymore anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, it has been snowing like crazy and everything is wet, and I've got a mess of tubing over there now. My fault. And I'm not sure where my dog ran off to. She's over there. So I punched a hole in that ice. Hopefully it hasn't sealed back over again. It's not freezing cold, but it's cold enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if we can put that out there. Now you're gonna notice a couple of things about this. One being that I tied it to the top of the bucket. And that is because this is gonna have to be pulled back out next spring, because we're going to go through and redig the pond deeper. So it doesn't make much sense to put the long string on this bucket when it's going to be changed in length anyway. This is about 5 feet. This should be more than adequate. But the trick is going to be to get it in the hole without me going in with it. So we're going to go ahead and stick this out there, I think, hopefully. So we have all of our tubing. We're not going to need all this tubing. But the other thing is, we don't want the horses catching this either. We don't need this ripped out. So, I guess I could try to dig a hole and see if I can bury it. I got my shovel out here. I can make an imprint with my foot. Maybe I can dig like a tiny trench to lay it in. Let's get it in the water and then we'll see what we can do. Well, it's underwater, but it's not really sinking much yet. So I guess we will wait and see what happens when it starts fizzing. Oh, maybe it's starting to sink a little bit. It's possible that there could still be like slush and stuff underneath, that it looks like it is sinking a tiny bit. I mean, I don't know how frozen it is all the way down. Good thing there was slush on the top that I could scrape off and throw in there, but man, it's still dicey. This whole thing is not very thick. So now we got that done. This is the weighted line, so you don't need that out here. I think this rubber tubing tends to break down a little bit faster than the plastic stuff, and maybe that's why that might be more UV resistant than this. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just my guess. So when we dig this out, obviously it's going to be a lot deeper, and then it's probably going to extend. Originally it was all the way out to here. So figuring that we'll probably need an extra 10 feet of this, I'll cut the hose to size and have it end right here with an additional 10 feet just kind of snaked down on that end. So that way when we go through and dig it out, we should have more than enough. All right, so we have to bring that line through the bottom of that and then attach it to this line. That shouldn't be too hard. I have leather gloves this time, which still can get wet. I'm definitely thankful for the warmer temperatures. That's why we're trying to get this up. All right, so this needs a bracket attached to it. We attach a bracket right here, which is going to grab this hose line like so. And then we're gonna put another one here. And
then, I don't know if I put one, oh wait, there. I don't know if I put one there. Maybe I skipped that one and just go right to here. And then one right there. Something to that effect. Maybe I want it on this side. I think I want it on this side, because I don't want to get it in the way of these right here. And there's one right over there. All right, so I think that's what we're gonna do. The nice thing is these don't have to be ratcheted on. They can be finger tight because they're not really holding anything supporting. It's just holding this into place. And now we see why this project, which really should have taken maybe a week, has taken me 6 months. Because it's just so many little things that just add up. Like right now, I go to cut the line. Gee, both my knives are in my other coat. I never wear this jacket, so there's nothing in it. And I didn't bring any extra knives. So now I have to find a knife somewhere in the barn, because they're all in my other jacket. So that's another 15 minutes of looking for a knife. Oh gosh. And hopefully my battery will survive this, guys, because my phone went dead on the last round. So this is actually supposed to be run on the outside, I think. It's kind of hard to tell from the directions, but looking at the clamps and how they fit on here, these are the holes that you would use. So either here or there, whichever side. You pick a side and you just keep it going down. But this is supposed to fit right in here. And this has to be on the outside, not the inside, which isn't a big deal, but I just need to cut it so I don't have to battle all of that. And my cutter is in the barn. So I'm gonna go find a cutter, get this cut, recycle it on the outside, get the rest of the brackets on. And I guess since I'm going back to the barn anyway, I might just try to haul back the blade unit if I can carry it. I haven't tried yet, but I think I can. I hope I can. Because I don't want to throw it in the tractor. All right. So I know half the fun of this would have been for you guys to see me carry this giant 70-pound bladed contraption from the barn all the way around to the horse pasture and then heave it up to mount it. But sadly, I can't balance this giant behemoth and a camera at the same time, so I just had to stick it up there. And now it looks a lot larger than I thought it did, but it kind of looks smaller than I thought. Daddy, you have grease on your face. Hey, come on. You're not being helpful at all. All right, we have to cut this line now. I did cut that line. We gotta put our hose clamps on and our hose barb on the two ends here. Daddy just ran off my other one, so I'm gonna grab this. I also have the tractor warming up, the TYM. I think the TYM will be just fine for this project. And, hopefully the scissors will cut through this hose. Oh yeah, like butter. Okay, pruning shears, great for everything. All right, so I have some grease. And I grab my barb. Hopefully it's in here still. There it is. All right, so we're gonna grease one side up, put it in, and then grease up the other side.
Especially in the wintertime, this is a great solution to get these things on. Because rubber is a little stiff and so is plastic. But only grease one side. Get it in, then do the other. Assuming I can get it in. And now I'm greasing the other side indirectly. Yep, lots of fun. Alright, make sure we're connecting to the correct line. You don't want to connect to the bad line, the one you cut, because that would be pretty bad. Alright, so the rubber tubing is going on a lot easier than the other one, which makes sense. But I still have to get the other one on. I feel like if I had a pair of pliers, I could probably press it on better. Alright, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to put this one on for now and then come back with a pair of pliers and pry it down a lot better. But at least if we get the one end cinched down, it'll give us leverage to pry. Okay. That should be good. I don't know, I mean, normally I would go through and I would take a lighter and I'd heat it up to press it on, but I don't know if that would damage the tubing at all. Give me your input. Otherwise, I'm just gonna grab a pair of pliers and see if I can put it on that way. At least now when that starts spinning, it'll start spitting the air all the way down to the tube and into our pond. All right, my directions are getting wet, but I pretty much know what else needs to happen. So we're gonna go ahead and finish installing the brackets on this tubing line right here because we need to have those up and on there. I think I still have it in my pocket. Yeah, see this? Here we go again. Every little thing that I forget throws my brain off. I was supposed to re-feed that up through the outside, not the inside. So I have to take the whole thing back apart again. Oh, I'm just not winning today. I guess it's a good thing I didn't get that end on. Maybe God was trying to tell me just hold on a minute. Frustrating. And of course I can't get it off now. There it is. Okay. Okay. So we have this on. This is gonna go through the outside. The airline coming out the middle, coming down the side, and then out here. They only give you 2 brackets for the outside, so just be aware. And you have to run it on the outside because this will otherwise chop your line off. So keep that in mind. I gotta take the dog in because she's cold. She thought she could stay out here wet, but she's been out here all day and it's like 30 degrees. So time to go in and warm up. All right, so now we have to go through and tighten all the bolts on the blade head portion of the windmill, and then once that is completed, we gotta put some stakes in the bottom on that bottom rail to keep it from sliding as we lift it. And originally I thought I was gonna pull it from this end, but I don't think that's gonna work out, so I might have to actually push it up from this end. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Also, I think I had the smaller drill to do this last time. This is too big to be used, so I have to use a ratchet head. So this also means I'm gonna have to go get the torque wrench because this isn't gonna be able to torque it down to 96 pounds. So another trip to the barn again. All right, so I think we're ready to lift it up. Eric's out here to help. We got the dome cap on this thing, which right now is collecting water. And we got all the bolts torqued down. And also don't forget, after you torque the inside spindle, go through and a torque down your fin blades too. I mean, you don't have to torque them, but attach them so they're nice and tight. And also be aware that that is inches, not pounds. For some reason I was thinking 96 pounds. It is 96 inches. So don't make that mistake. Here's my mess of grease that I attempted to stick on there. So I'm not sure how much grease is in there, but I greased it up the best I could. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Look at it go. There she goes. There she goes. I think I see a bubbling over there too.
Yeah, they're cold.
Yeah, my everything.
They just weren't quite big enough.
Yeah, so what Eric did is he hammered these in as an anchor instead of these little things, because the ground is pretty soft and wet, and those worked out really good. So I don't know if you guys could see that, but he drove them in and it kept it from sliding. And then the two boards right there are just perfect to keep it level. So now we got to go through and put the bolts in, put the spikes in.
I gotta lift you up in the bucket to take that off.
Oh yeah, that looks fun with the death spiral above my head. It's like one of those horror movies where you got the spinning thing in the vents and you're like getting sucked in.
Well, we better get this thing angled down before
it blows over. Oh wow, look at that. It's really pumping the water. Look at it.
you walked out there.
I did. It was really sketchy.
You fell in, right?
I fell in right here. I didn't fall in down there. See, there's another hole I just fell into. And I'm gonna have to get this line secured down too a little bit more. We got a little extra slack here, so when we dig it out, we'll have plenty of line. Then it'll go down further. There it goes. There it is. She's spinning away. And as Eric pointed out, it's interesting that the windmill is spinning because the neighbor's windsock isn't even elevated. So that's how sensitive this thing is. It's pretty cool. Well, it definitely must be spinning in different directions. I was worried that maybe it's not exactly level and it wouldn't turn, but it's pivoted a full 360 degrees, so It's not spinning right now because there's no breeze, but it does kick it up pretty good like it did yesterday. I just didn't get a video of it. So what did you guys think? I was so excited to finally get that windmill up. Oh, what a relief. That had been hanging over my head all summer long, and I kept thinking to myself, how am I gonna get this thing up without totally annihilating it? But thank you, Lord, it got up just fine. So I'm so excited to see exactly how this is gonna change our pond into this spring. And again, this spring we are still gonna have to go through and dig out our pond because it has filled in with all of the cattails. So we are testing out the windmill now, making sure it's fully operational and getting a jump onto spring before all those cattails can take a foothold yet again. And it gives us time to get it dug out and in place before summer hits. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I love seeing your comments down below, and stay tuned for all of the fun of winter. Hope you guys are doing well. Take care. Love you. Bye.